Evening, everybody. Icy here. It's going to be a little hard to talk, as you can see. I just had major neck surgery on my spine, so you'll have to forgive me if my voice sounds a little weird. I'm making this one today because of overhearing what John Kerry said at one of those European "We're going to run the world" summits, and him saying that the First Amendment was a major block in controlling free speech. I find that ironic, since he's saying that they need to control speech because the misinformation. Well, it seems to me that the people handing out the misinformation are the ones trying to control speech. Go figure. But that's my opinion. Whether or not people believe it or not, that's up to them. But the First Amendment, what's beautiful about it is that it guarantees you the right to speak your mind. Right, wrong, indifferent. There's no such thing as restricted speech under the First Amendment. I can say something that would totally piss you off, totally hurt your feelings, or make you mad. It doesn't matter. I can say what I want to say with no restrictions. In other countries, for example, the UK, Great Britain, Ireland, if I were to say something that was considered offensive, that would possibly offend someone on social media. Good example is, I don't believe that transgenders are, normal people, that they're mentally ill. Just that statement alone would put me in prison for about a year to 2 years. That's how important your free speech is. It has to be protected. Now, the other thing we're going to talk about is this upcoming vice presidential debate, which is scheduled for tomorrow, which is why I'm doing this tonight, is J.D. Vance, who is the vice presidential pick for Donald Trump, who is a decorated combat veteran, going against Tampon Tim Walz. He's called Tampon Tim because after he became governor of his state, he installed tampon machines in the boys' bathrooms in the elementary school. So that goes to show you his mental fitness is questionable in that regards. But he's also a veteran. I'll grant him that. He served with distinction for 24 years. I'll grant him that. However, he's a coward. He reenlisted in the military for an additional 6 years so that he could hit the 30-year mark, which is the max for your retirement pay. Right after he reenlists, his unit gets orders to go to the war zone. So instead of deploying with his troops, which he has been, he's had the honor of being in charge of for several years, he bails on his troops and runs away from the military because he doesn't want to go and fight. He just wanted the benefits that the military offered, and that was it. So, in my opinion, he's a dirtbag veteran, okay? Now, after he got out of the military, funny thing is that when he was running for his political offices, after his multiple visits to China and his praising the society that China is showing the world, which is, for face value, you can't take it. You got to look behind the scenes to see what's actually going on in China. It's not allowed, especially to foreigners. But he praises China. All of a sudden, he has the extra capital to run for political office. I believe he was a congressman. And now he's the governor of his respective state. While he was the governor during the Black Lives Matter riots, he allowed an entire city to burn. The whole purpose of being the governor of a state is to protect the citizens, not to allow destruction of the property belonging to citizens or the physical assaults upon citizens. but he allowed it. That right there makes him an even bigger dirtbag. Now, during COVID, one of the other things that he was doing was, I don't know for a fact, this is just rumor, but it is said that he allowed armed thugs to go through housing areas where people were sitting on their front steps of their homes. Now, these are houses. You're separated by more than 6 feet. You're separated by quite a few feet. If you're sitting on your front porch, these people were shooting people with paintball guns, driving them inside because Tim Walz, the governor, said you must remain inside during COVID. Everything that was put out in regards to COVID had proven to be false. So, does that make him a bigger dirtbag? I believe so. If you're allowing your citizens that voted you into office to be shot because you're in your home, you're sitting on your front porch. I'm sorry, your front porch is considered being in your home too. It's your property. It's not the governor's property, it's your property. Now, if you want to impose something in a rental property or in a public space, that's one thing. Your own property, you don't have the right to tell people you have to remain indoors. But that's my opinion. The other thing that angers me about Tim Walz is he did bail on his troops. His troops went over to the war zone, served with distinction. Tim Walz, when he's running for these political offices, claims that he was there. Claims that he fought in a war. He handled the equipment, whatever exact wording, I'm not sure. But he said he did it. So, go figure. So in my opinion, it comes down to two choices. When the election comes up, you got Walz, a dirtbag, bails on his troops. If he's going to bail on his troops, if he's going to allow a city to burn, then you, the American citizen, will also be allowed to burn and be destroyed, provided that he maintains his power and control over your lives. J.D. Vance, he put his life out there multiple times. And you can't claim that because he's white he's a racist. His wife's from India. So he's got mixed race children. And that doesn't matter to a real American. What matters is what's inside. How you treat others, and how much you love your country. Those are the only things that should matter. So those are your choices. Walz or Vance when it comes to the election. And Vance is with Donald Trump. Oh, that's another thing. Notice who was there at the disaster areas. Donald Trump. Where was JoJo? Biden's sitting on the beach. Harris is out in California raising money. When the press secretary, KJP, was asked about it, she said, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They have people that work for them. Let them do the work. So it goes to show you the mentality involved on the Democrat side. Don't complain about what I'm doing because what I'm doing is none of your darn business. As long as somebody comes and talks to you, that's all that matters. Instead of being a leader and showing up at the front lines, which is what Trump did today. I see out.